Follow along as I show you step by step how to finger knit an infinity scarf. Start by making a slip knot around your finger. You want to leave at least 2 foot for the tail. Tighten it comfortably around your finger so it can slide up and down as you move back and forth from hand to hand. Grasp the working yarn in the tail with your ring finger and pinky. Now slide your index finger and thumb between the two. Now with your index finger, you want to go up under the first string on the thumb and over the string on your index finger. Drop the string on your right hand ring finger and left hand thumb and pull. I repeat this process many times, so if me explaining it to you is confusing, just you'll be able to get it if you watch, because I just do it over and over and over again. And you can see the more loops that you make on your finger, it starts to make a chain. Now for this scarf in particular, I want to do 11 loops, and that is going to determine the thickness of your scarf. And the tighter the loops are around your finger, that will determine how tight the actual stitches will be, like the little loops that make up your scarf. But you don't want them to be too loose, but yet you don't want them to be too tight where you can't slide them off and on your finger. And where your finger starts to get skinnier down towards the end, you have to make sure that you loosen them up a little bit so they're the same width around as the rest of your loops. Does that make sense? Alright, now we're done with the tail for now, so we just kind of put it out of the way, and we're going to start swapping over to the other hand. So you want to take your working yarn in your left hand, push it through the loop, and the loop that you've just made with the working yarn is what will go down on your other finger, making sure obviously to tighten them comfortably as you go along. And this is it. This is the entire process. You just swap back and forth from hand to hand, doing the same steps over and over again until the very end, where I'll show you it gets to be a little bit different. I'm sure I explained this so much better in my original audio when I filmed this, but I didn't realize at the time that you could hear my son in the background playing video games and my dog's toenails clicking across the kitchen floor and outside noises coming in from an open window. So I decided to just do a voiceover, and I'm not the best at voiceovers. You'll certainly find what works best for you, but for me personally, once my fingers get tied up like that, I kind of kick up the working yarn with my ring fingers and pinkies. Now, if you have to stop or take a break while you're knitting, I always try to stop on the same hand every time, but it doesn't really matter. The working yarn will always be in the middle. So when you pick it back up, you'll know which hand it's supposed to go on, because the front does look different from the side that is facing you. I can't remember what I was saying there, but I mean, I was basically explaining the same thing, but I just can't tell from my hand gestures what I was saying. It was certainly a lot to explain. Working yarn goes in middle, bottom line. So we'll just speed it up a little bit, and okay. So you take a pencil, probably shouldn't poke yourself, use the eraser side, and slide all of your loops down onto the pencil. Take a clothespin and pinch it all together and just pop that clothespin on there. And then you can see little bite marks where my dog got a hold of it one night. The pencil was everywhere, my yarn was all unraveled. It was a mess. So to start it back up again, you slide it off the pencil back onto your finger. Sometimes it can take a few to get it worked back up there, but then just continue on with the same exact process we have been doing. And because this could get very repetitive very quick, we'll speed it up a little bit. But the great thing about video is that if you're still getting stuck on a part, you can go back and rewatch the same part over and over again. And on the front, you can start to see the pattern form. And like I said earlier, you know, the tighter the loops are around your fingers, the tighter these little loops will be in between each chain. And now that I've showed you the technique of the actual knitting, we'll switch over to a scarf that I have made that is ready to be tied off and finished. So I'll show you how to do that. Alright, here I have it on the scissors, so I just gotta slide it down on my fingers. This one took me about an hour to make total, I think, with no breaks in between. But to finish it off, it's almost the same process. So you take your working yarn and you slide it through the loop just like you would switching hands. And now you do it once more. Okay, so now that you have 2 loops on your finger, you take the first loop. Hurry up, hands, get there. Take the first loop, pull it over the second loop, and drop it and tighten. And you just continue this the whole way across. So take your working yarn, push it through the loop, slide it on your finger. Now take the first loop, pull it over, and drop it. Now once you get to the end, you want to make a knot by taking your working yarn, wrapping it around, pull it through the loop, and leave yourself a little bit. I cut off way too much here because I wanted to make sure I had enough. And now you just tighten your knot, and if you're making a regular scarf, you're done. But if you want to make an infinity scarf, then next we need to attach the ends. You want to lay it out flat and make sure it's not twisted or anything. Meet up the edges and take either your tail or your excess yarn and just weave it through. There's no specific way that I do it, just as long as it's hidden in your scarf, it's good enough, I guess. When you're working with the chunky yarn like this, sometimes if you have to weave it in and out, it tends to fray a little. So I just tie a little knot at the very, very end of it, and that way it prevents it from fraying, makes it so much easier to work with. And when I cut the tail off, I made sure to leave a little bit sticking out so I could attach the excess yarn to it. Just tie that in a knot, and then we're done with the scarf. And moving on to the little attachment with the button, you'll need obviously a button and needle and thread to sew it on. And to make this, I only did, I think it was 4 loops as opposed to 11. This obviously was the next day. You can see the lighting is different. But here I'm taking the tail and just weaving it in because we don't need it at all. And I did forget to mention too, whenever you're making this little attachment, you want to measure it out so it fits nicely around your infinity scarf. Lay your scarf down, double it up, and then wrap it around or wrap a piece of string around just to get a measurement or a rough idea so you know just how long to make it. Now just sew on your button. And now you want to find the edges, which would be where you weaved the 2 pieces together, and you typically would want this kind of like down to the right or down to the left. So now just, oops, got to tuck in that little piece or cut it off or something. Forgot that was there. Well, maybe I didn't have to cut it off. Okay, all right. Now, button it up and you're ready to wear your cute little infinity scarf that you made all by yourself. And that's all there is to it. Easy, right? Have a good day. And as always, thank you for watching.